Okay, in our previous tutorial, we started actually setting up and establishing our own external layouts. And I did my best to explain sort of how these external layouts can help us in our game programming. But I actually want to show you sort of how this is used also in other games as well. And I got this image here from strategywiki.org. It's basically the map layout for the S.S. Anne section of Pokemon. And you'll notice something here. See these rooms? The layout is exactly the same for each of these rooms. You can think of these rooms here as external layouts, like what we're making, right? So here is the ship, the outside of the ship, right? This is the equivalent of sort of our kingdom that we've been creating, right? So our character Bob walks around. He can go into the houses through the doors. And when he goes into the doors, you see the exact same external layout, just like here in Pokemon. All they did was use the same concept of an external layout and then use code when you enter the doorway to populate each room with unique items, right? So you've got characters here who want to duel with you, you've got items, Pokeballs, things like that. We're doing the exact same thing. And not only that, but the thing about game programming that sort of makes it difficult for, I think, beginners to understand is that tediousness that you do in the beginning of this makes it so much easier in the end. So when we're finished with our external layouts and we finish creating our global variables for our rooms, you can populate as many rooms as you want after that. But we do have to continue to sort of almost laboriously at times build our variables, build our layouts, and then we can storyboard for things like having, this guy here, this girl over here, that kind of thing. All right? But we're essentially making the same thing. We're doing the same thing that they did with Pokemon. All right? So, are you sufficiently motivated? Well, I hope so, because now we've got to go into our global variables and we've got to do some variable work here. So let's do project manager, global variables, and let's go to the bottom. And we've got to set up a new structure here. So let's hit the plus sign. And we're going to call this structure, kingdom, kingdom rooms. Okay? That's how we're going to keep track of all the rooms in our kingdom. Let's hit the plus sign again and create a child off of that. Did it work? No, it didn't. Okay, there we go. And now these child variables of kingdoms are going to be our actual rooms, and we're going to just use numbers to keep track of those. So 0 is going to be Bob's room. All right, we won't worry about Bob's room just now. Let's add another room here under kingdom rooms. And we're going to call this room 1. Now before we start building off of 1, I already know we're going to need one more variable here off of kingdom. And that one we're going to call current room. Current room is going to keep track of what room we're actually entering. So when we go into Bob's door, it's going to say basically set current room equal to 0. And then we'll have code that says what to do when you enter room 0. Okay? So let's go back to our room 1. And let's add a child variable off of 1. So what are we going to need to do? Well, for 1, I know for right now at least we're going to need to deal with the furniture, right? So furniture will be another structure. Let's add a child variable off of that. And every room is going to essentially have a desk. And then let's add another one. Room's going to have a chest. And every piece of furniture is going to have variables as well, right? The chest, we need to know where it's located, so we need our X and Y. position. This is going to tell us where to place the chest with our code. The chest is also going to need a item ID in case we want to load it with something. It's also then going to need to have a way to keep track of whether that item is in there or has been taken. For that, we're going to add an isFilled. Now, we could also add a dialog variable here, but I don't think we're going to do that. I don't think so. Okay, these 4 main child variables should be for each openable item, okay, or searchable item, right? Like, you know, if you want to have a plant in the room, and you want that to be an option to be able to hide items in the plants, then you'll want to have all 4 of these there as well. But let's also say, for example, you know, well, right now, I don't really want the desk to have anything. It doesn't matter. I would say give it the same 4 anyway, because in the future, as you're storyboarding, you might want to add an item. And it's easy to put it in now, much easier to put it in now than to try to find it and go through all of your code later on. So be consistent. Give each item that even has a chance of being filled with something all 4 of these. Let's go ahead and do that. isFilled, item ID, X position, and the Y position. And of course, Bob's room is going to have these same things, but I don't think we'll deal with Bob's room right now. His room is still considered the main scene, but we'll switch that over eventually. All right, let's stop there for this tutorial.